So if there was any place on the planet Earth where I would figure scammers would be, it would be Vegas. I know you got to be on guard out there. Now, mind you, I've never been. It's definitely on my bucket list to go, but I've never been to Vegas. But I would imagine you got to be on your P's and Q's out there. But here we go with a scam. So we're going to get into it. But before we do, you know how this goes. Question everything. You should. And remember, this is for entertainment purposes only. Let's get to it.
The FBI is looking for more alleged victims of a Las Vegas woman it says was involved in a deadly romance scam. The suspect is accused of defrauding older men and causing the death of at least one of them. She's under arrest in Mexico, and U.S. officials want her returned for trial.
On Friday, federal authorities in Nevada revealed a years-long investigation into an international and deadly romance scam. In an unsealed indictment, the Justice Department charged 43-year-old Aurora Phelps with scamming 4 older men. Between 2021 and 2022, Phelps allegedly used aliases like Sissy and Laura on dating sites like Tinder and OkCupid to lure her victims. After meeting them in person, feds say she would hit their bank accounts and go on shopping sprees.
Some of them were lonely, looking for companionship. Most of them were, elderly, single men. She befriended them. In many cases, she went on multiple dates with them.
The 21 counts against Phelps include bank fraud, identity theft, and kidnapping. The FBI said one of the 4 victims was put in a coma after Phelps drugged him, and that the other 3 died after meeting Phelps. She's charged in one of their deaths.
We believe Phelps kidnapped one of these victims by heavily sedating him and pushing him across the U.S.-Mexico border in a wheelchair. Phelps then took him to a hotel room in Mexico City, where the victim was found dead a few hours later.
The FBI also claims there are more possible victims of Phelps' scam in the U.S. and Mexico, both male and female, and dating back to 2019. If convicted on all counts, she could spend the rest of her life in prison.
The FBI is looking...
Let's take out could and put should. She should. Like, this is, I keep telling y'all though, these dating sites, man, at this point, if you're dating at this point, it needs to be somebody that a friend of yours knows really, really well. I'm talking about grew up knowing them, know their mother, their father, their family, know their background, their history. That's the way you got to date now. Meeting somebody random is a gamble. It's always been a gamble, but these days, you don't know what you're getting yourself into, man. Half the time I'll be like, thank gosh I'm out the game. I'm out the game. Because this is scary what they out here doing.
So I'm here at work and got a couple of them right here. First time not seeing them at home and seeing them elsewhere. And then if I turn around, DIA's that way. Don't ignore that one, that's a lot. But that one right there is an orb. Man, right there as well. We got quite the visitors in that. This one appears to be moving. Yeah, it's moving at a pretty good speed. That one actually might be a plane. Yeah, that one's a plane. But that one, stationary. Then over here, stationary. Again, ignore that orange one, that's a light. Yeah.
If you've watched my videos, you know the majority of the videos that I show you are sped up about 2 or 3 times so that we get through them quickly. However, the videos that I'm showing you this evening, I do want to slow down at a regular pace so that you can fully absorb what is happening. This is the first Dior bag that I've come across that has had a blatant spotlight on it. It was wild. I was like, what is happening? So, of course, I stay out there. This is on this past Tuesday, February 18th. So bitter cold outside. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to stay out just a little bit longer and see what happens. And of course, I captured some really good things. Now, the things that you're about to see, I have not recorded before and I have not posted them before. So the majority of the rest of this video is going to be these little guys.
Now, the first one definitely kind of looked like a helicopter all the way up until the end to where it started doing something. I don't know if it turned and the lights just made it look different or weird looking or whatever. But that one kind of looked like a helicopter, but you can't really tell. and which is also alarming because they could be disguising to make us think that they're helicopters, but you don't really know. It's hard to differentiate between the two.
Floating in the sky, and then they just kind of disappear into the atmosphere. I'm not really sure what they are. I mean, it kind of threw me off because they are a solid light. They're not blinking, but they just totally disappear, like this guy just did, like totally gone. Now, I'm probably going to go on a bit of a rant, but I need you guys to like stick with me and listen to what I'm saying. We have been so desensitized over the past several months that this has been happening. You know, I started recording these things in November, and even now, you know, things happen out there that still make my jaw drop, and I'm in awe of things. But the majority of what I'm seeing, I'm just like, okay, it's just another night of what's happening in Lexington, Kentucky. And that is not normal. Like the things that are happening, we should be like, oh my God, like, let me record it. Let me share it. And that's what I'm urging you to do tonight. So we have been so desensitized by the TV shows that we have watched, the movies that we have seen, the massive amounts of TikToks that we have scrolled through. Unplug completely, just for one night, go outside, look up into the sky, and see what is offered to you. Like, there are so many things that are happening, and it just blows my mind that people continue to just look down and are not looking up. Something is happening right now, and I need you who are watching this today to realize that.
Just straight up savages, man. Like this, I'm telling you, I said it before, this is like Black Friday in like the early 2000s, late 90s. This is what Black Friday looked like. This is straight savagery right here, man. This is ridiculous, bro. Like, I could go without.
To the index now, if you're having trouble finding eggs that you can actually afford, some help is on the way. The country of Turkey has begun shipping eggs to the U.S. to ease the shortage caused by the bird flu outbreak. Turkey expects to send about 33 million pounds of eggs between now and July. That sounds like a lot, but keep in mind the U.S. produced nearly 93 billion eggs in 2022.
Do you understand how bad of a person you have to be for your lawyer who's been going to school for this all of his life, practices for this moment to where he can get these high-profile cases, gets paid millions of dollars to tell you under no circumstances can I continue because these charges are too crazy? He prepared this his whole life and he still couldn't continue. So bad, this lawyer think he finna be guilty by association. Y'all gotta understand, under no circumstances, that means no bread, no loyalty, no nothing. It does not matter what he gives him, he's not being a lawyer for him. Lawyer was so scared, he said even God wouldn't defend him. How was you traumatizing a high-profile case lawyer? And I don't even want to tell you what they seen, but they seen some. And trust me, lawyers defend the most craziest stuff, like stuff you couldn't even imagine. But Diddy, you are doing worse than people that have done war crimes. Like, this lawyer has defended every and anybody you can think of. And Diddy is where he crossed the line. Diddy, you gotta be the devil. Do you understand?
I think the crazy part we're hearing, and we don't know if it's true at this point, it's all just hearsay and people, you have to decipher for yourself. But they're saying that's the lawyer that either defended bin Laden or an associate of bin Laden or something like that. Something to do with bin Laden. And the fact that he could do that, but not continue on with Diddy's case, says a lot. That says a lot.
All right, now that I've seen like 5 videos on my FYP talking about how Diddy's been accused of necromancy in a newest lawsuit, I think it's time to split these 2 words up, because this is not illegal while this one is, and they're both Greek words, and I'm Greek, and it's my first language, so let's break this down. Now, necros means death. That's the same in both. Philia means love, meaning when you say necrophilia, it's someone who has sexual intercourse or sexual feelings for a corpse. Illegal. Necromancy pretty much translates to like divination, so magic. So this is magic with a corpse. So in this it says practice of calling up spirits of the dead for magical purposes. Speaking to the dead. That's not illegal. Anyone can do that. This one is illegal. This one is not. And maybe people are confusing the word, the mancy, with like romance and confusing it, but they are different. Words have meanings. We need to be careful. Anyways, memorize this, because if this is the newest talking point on the Diddy case, I feel that we're going to have a lot more confusion. Necrophilia, gross. Necromancy, normal. Philia, mancy. 2 different words. All right, now that
At this point, I'm almost scared to know what the lawyer saw or discovered that made him say, no, I can't do this. This is where I draw the line. What do y'all think he saw or came across, or what was presented, or what came across his desk that he either read or saw through a video or something? Ooh, that might be what it is. It could be possibly one of those videos they recovered. I don't know. Something spooked him.
Is anybody else not convinced that Brian Laundrie is dead? Does anybody else think, if you haven't watched the Gabby Petito documentary on Netflix, go watch it. But is anybody else convinced that he was never at his parents' house? That all those phone calls between him and his parents, the timeline, all that stuff, that somehow they got that van, drove it home. He was never at that house, so he never escaped his parents' house. He was never there. He's on the run. He's hiding somewhere. That wasn't really his body that his family stumbled upon out of nowhere in the woods that was already decomposed, right? Do you think he is still alive? I think he is. Is anybody else not
this isn't the first time that's been like on my timeline for some reason about this, and I still haven't watched it yet because I'm waiting on the missus because she wants to watch it with me. So I'm like waiting on her so we could watch it together. But now y'all saying he could possibly faked his death? This just gets crazier and crazier the more I hear about this story.
You're under pressure from Moscow to step aside and Washington to hold elections. Would you be willing to give up the presidency if it meant peace for Ukraine? Thank you.
Так, з останнього. Якщо мир для України, якщо вам дуже потрібно, щоб я залишив свій пост.
If you really need for me to relieve my post, then I'm ready for that, for the sake of the peace in Ukraine. And I can replace that to NATO if there is any, more to say on that. I'm focusing on Ukraine's security today, not in 20 years, and I'm not going to stay in power for decades. So that is my focus, that is my dream.
I thought he was gonna miss that shot. I did. Because you never really know. You ever seen like some of the celebrities throw out like the first pitch at a baseball game? Oh my gosh, that is hilarious to watch them. You could tell a lot of athletes is different, or celebrities or different things. It's different when you do something different than you normally do. A-Rod is known for baseball, not basketball. So we don't know if he got a jump shot. Just like when some people are analysts or rappers, they're not known for throwing a baseball to the catcher. So it's always if I had to bet, I'd have been like, no, I'd have lost my money, but you know what I mean? So, hey, I'll just make sure that kid gets his 10K. If that's the next issue.
As the president marks his first month in office, there is growing fallout over the mass firings across the federal government. Overnight, federal employees received an email asking them to summarize their work for the past week. Elon Musk adding failure to respond will be taken as a resignation. It comes as his operatives are now working inside at least 18 departments and agencies. Musk punctuating the moment by brandishing a chainsaw at a conservative conference in Washington.
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy.
Now, tensions are already high in this country, but imagine waking up to an email that could literally end your career. That's the reality of thousands of federal workers today. And
that's a level of stress that nobody should be up under. Like you're walking around just on pins and needles, just waiting, checking your email, looking at your phone every few hours just to see if you're gonna receive. Like that. Nobody wants to deal with that type of stress.
And no, this is not some dystopian novel. This is real life, and it's happening under Elon Musk's influence of the U.S. government. Today, federal employees received a shocking email titled, "What did you do last week?" with no signature. And the demands, please reply with approximately 5 bullet points of what you accomplished last week and CC your manager. In addition to these emails, there was a tweet posted on X that said, in reference to these emails, failure to respond will be taken as a resignation. Where did this directive come from? Straight from Elon Musk. Elon Musk, who is now an informal advisor to President Trump, and in response to President Trump's Truth Social post this morning telling Elon to be more aggressive, is ramping up his overhaul of the federal workforce. Y'all, the response has been chaotic. We got some agencies that are enforcing the email, others are telling people to ignore it, but overall we got a bunch of employees who are unsure if they're gonna have a job next week. Now, newly confirmed FBI Director Kash Patel, he told the Bureau employees to pause any responses to Musk's email. Now, for some, this is exactly the kind of drain the swamp energy they wanted. Less government, less spending, and a more business-like approach to running the country. But for critics, this isn't just about cost cutting. It's about turning the U.S. government into Elon Musk's latest tech startup where people can be fired just at the click of a button. If this plan is allowed to continue moving forward, we could see entire agencies become downsized, privatized, or wiped out completely. And in the end, who's going to replace them? Now, tensions are already...
Imagine your managers or somebody in your chain of command telling you, don't worry about that, don't reply to that email. What are y'all doing in that situation? Because now you're hearing, you're seeing these videos, you're seeing the tweets, you already see what he's doing. You know they mean business, but your direct supervisor there is telling you not to do it, not to reply. But Elon is putting out, please reply or you will be terminated, essentially. What do you do in that situation? Like, it's going to be so many different lawsuits. You can see them coming. There's people going to be filing lawsuits against their managers talking about, well, you told me not to respond and I didn't respond and I got fired. Like, I could see the just chaos ensuing, just mounting up. This is crazy.
Elon sent an email to the hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of federal employees today, asking them to send by Monday at 11:59 a list of 5 things they did in the last week. Now, before I go into further, I was a federal employee for 5 years at the U.S. Department of the Interior. I was a political appointee, but I worked with hundreds and hundreds of career employees. This is what I think you guys should all write back to Elon's note. Are you ready? That's what you should write back to that. First of all, is he going to review hundreds of, I think it's actually millions, or over 1 million emails from people and then cross-check them with their departments and then go within their sub-departments and like fire these people? No. Also, you as a federal employee have protections. They can't just fire you. They're going to try to make this miserable for you, so you quit, and you should not do that. I would argue it is patriotic to sit your in your chair and do as little as possible to help these idiots out. This is more of an assault on the government, and you as a career employee could do a lot by just hanging on for us and making this hard for them. Elon sent an email to...
See, this is what's frustrating for so many federal employees, because they got everyone in their ear right now telling them what they should do. Don't do this or do this. And it's like a tug of war on their emotions right now. And that's no place anybody wants to be in. Like, I feel so bad for them right now. Like, everybody has an opinion on what they should do. And they're not in their shoes. So it's easy for somebody to tell you what you should do. This is scary, man. I feel for them.
As a federal employee, I need to respond to Elon Musk by today. So
I'm going to send him this video because I think that it's important that the American people know what us federal employees do. So you want 5 bullet points. Bullet point 1. On Monday, I woke up and went to the gym. And I thought, you know what? I think that Tesla needs a real roadster. So I mocked one up. And then I realized Elon sent one to space. So I stopped that one. On Tuesday, I had a horrible diarrhea explosion because, well, it was Taco Tuesday and the taco truck was on the corner down the street from my house. So that's where I went. On Wednesday, I did take a nap because as a child I fought naps, but now as an adult I enjoy them. So I took a nap and I did about 12 tweets, which only got about 1,200 views combined. On Thursday, listen, I doubled down on Taco Tuesday. On Thursday I had tacos again, had explosive diarrhea, but while it's on the throne, I thought, you know what? I think we could go to Mars. And so I wrote some code to see if we could get there in 7 months instead of 9. And Elon, I was able to do that. I'll send the code to you. It'll be in the link. Click that little clip thing. There used to be this little clip art on Microsoft, but this doesn't have it now. So then on Friday, I saw there were town halls, and so I calculated town halls, and then I went to DeepSeek, and I tried finding out if it could give me a radius, how long it would take me to drive a Tesla there, but it wouldn't do it. So then I had to go over to Chat GBT because Chat is way more superior, and what I was able to find out is that the Tesla's really slow. So then I wrote some code about how to make it faster, and that's the second paperclip link in here. That's what the things I did last week. And then on Saturday, I got your email, but you said return to office earlier this year, so I went to the office to maybe do another day's worth of work, but the office was closed, and there were a lot of people picketing, so I just went to the lake and fed the ducks bread and rice, as I typically do. And then on Sunday, I wrote an email out, but I figured, you know what? I want to stand out to Mr. Musk because you're going to get 2.4 million plus emails. I wanted you to get a video one. And unfortunately, the chainsaw I ordered that you had is not going to come until Tuesday, but I was supposed to give this to you today. So, yeah, I bought that chainsaw. I'm going to do some really cool dance, and I'm going to make comedy great again. That's what I did last week, Elon. And just as a bonus, it's now Monday. Just so you know that I'm actively working. I am gone to the gym already, and I'm on my way back again because I went home and then went to the office. There were still picketers there, but I went home and I sent off 12 tweets again. And this morning I only have 700 views right now. So if you could really, really help, my views. The email handle is Greg on Twitter. I think you know what that is.
So Ross, the major question, do you think the Pentagon confirming it's investigating the allegations of Jake Barber is a major step forward here?
It's an incremental step forward. I think it's important because we do know that the new director of AARO, the Pentagon's UAP investigation office, a chap called Dr. John Kozlowski, were assured he's very serious about investigating the phenomenon. And he admitted to the Congress under oath late last year that he was indeed now talking to first-hand whistleblowers. So to get this confirmation now from the Pentagon that they are now indeed investigating is positive. But
finally, an update. Like, it's been a while. What's going on? Why are y'all slow walking this thing? We hear about a whistleblower, then silence. Then another whistleblower, then silence. Then a potential, then silence. Like, what are we doing? No. Let's get this ball rolling.
As Dr. John Kozlowski has said to several people, his powers are very limited. The Pentagon dictates what he's allowed to reveal and what he's allowed to say publicly. And there isn't a very proud history, I'm afraid, of the Pentagon wanting to be very forthcoming about what we do believe is a covert UAP retrieval and reverse engineering program.
Got me excited, and then within the next few sentences, brought me right back down, humbled me right back down. If we rely on what they give us, then we're going to get nothing.
So really, I think a lot depends on the degree of transparency and openness that's permitted by the Pentagon, and a lot of that hangs on the new administration. It really does rest with the president and also to some degree with the Congress whether or not we're going to get any movement on any further disclosure about this alleged covert program.
It's very interesting. I know you say there is very clear intent from senior echelons within the Pentagon leadership to continue to suppress this story. Tell me more about that.
Look, there's been for decades, I believe, a covert program where the United States, I do believe, has hid its recovery, its retrieval of non-human technology. I know a lot of people will roll their eyes and scoff at such a notion, but the evidence is now getting pretty overwhelming that this is real. There have been noises from very senior people in this new administration, including the new DNI, Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, the head of the CIA, John Ratcliffe, and also the head of the FBI, Nash Patel. These people have all indicated their willingness to investigate the UAP issue. What's interesting, though, is that the Pentagon recently came back with an answer to the White House on the drone incursions that you and I have spent a lot of time talking about, and they tried to explain them away as FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, authorized drones, that this was somehow some kind of authorized drone program. That's completely in contradiction to what the FAA said under oath to the Congress in December. So we're getting mixed messages from this new administration, and I'm not confident that we're going to see any degree of transparency. A lot rests, for example, on whether Anna Paulina Luna, the congresswoman who's launched this new transparency committee, is going to be allowed to ask the tough questions in a public hearing, and whether the new president, President Trump, is indeed serious with his promise to get to the bottom of the UAP mystery. So far, I'm a little bit skeptical, but we'll wait and see.
Okay, yeah, wait and see for sure. I want to return to some of your thoughts on some of the government operations that Barber was a part of. Here he is speaking about his work on what he calls the range. Ross, in your experience rigorously covering so many UAP-related stories now, how does Barber's account compare to other whistleblower testimonies?
It totally correlates. I mean, Natasha, the reason I'm so sure about Barber telling the truth is because I was referred to Mr. Barber by people inside the legacy program, scientists who are frustrated that they think the public should have a right to know this information, that they say there's no good reason for the continued secrecy.
Well, leak us something. Like, this is the era of where everything leaks. I don't care if it's a document or a video. It leaks. Leak us something, bro. Give us something to work with. Once we get something like that is just so much concrete evidence, then we can take it from there. We're gonna apply so much pressure to them that they're gonna have to come out and tell us the truth. We just gotta have something more concrete to go with. Give us something.
And one of the problems with the military and the intelligence community is often they maintain secrecy for, frankly, no good reason. I do think that we're on the edge of a possible disclosure if this new government decides to be candid. And I think there's really no good reason why the continued secrecy should continue in the way it has. The government does have the opportunity to finally, once and for all, admit that we are not alone, that there is indeed an advanced intelligence of a non-human nature engaging with this planet. But whether the Pentagon wants to admit that or not, there is a certain inevitability, because Jake Barber and his team at Skywatcher are now trying to replicate what they did on the range privately with the backing of private equity.